Hey, welcome back. Hi, my name is Christina Carpenter. Again, thank you for joining me. Today, I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about writing a children's book, and I want to focus on an article that I found on Google, and I just want to pinpoint some of the key aspects of what is said in this article. It's by thewritepractice.com. The title is How to Write a Children's Book. And it goes into a woman's story of how she began in writing her children's book. And I just want to share this article with you. And it starts off with, have you wondered how to write a children's book? A lot of people do. The idea of crafting a sweet and silly tale that delights young minds and hearts is a compelling invitation. And then it says, well-written picture books are works of art that demand an intuitive sense of child appeal and, like poetry, a firm command of language. That's key. In this article, you'll learn all about how to write a children's book with writing tips that will help you craft your writing for the littlest readers. So she goes on to tell her story of how she became a children's book author. She said, I never dreamed of being a picture book author. I became one unexpectedly. How this started was I wrote, illustrated, and self-published my first children's book, The Gift of an Angel, in 1997, long before self-publishing was a thing. I was recovering from brain surgery in my 20s with a little downtime. Inspired by my large circle of support, Earth Angels, I call them, I wrote a book about the belief in a guardian angel for every child, printed a few thousand copies of my book at a local shop. I was optimistic and began peddling them to gift shops and bookstores around town. Emails came to my inbox telling me how my feelings were their feelings, a huge aha moment for me. In 1 year, I sold 10,000 copies, which quickly lit the fire in me to create more books that honored life's emotions and relationships. One book became two, and two became 70 plus, with millions sold. For 16 years, I co-ran my own publishing company with my husband before selling my books my own book line in 2010 to Source Books, Inc., the largest independent woman-owned publisher in North America. With them, I still create and learn daily how writing children's books performs in the business. I also understand how a children's book in the business of publishing needs to sell to a target market with a benefit to the buyer and reader. And that distribution, how and where you're going to sell it, is everything. That's key. She says, and that distribution and how and where you're going to sell it is key. If you want to become a children's book author, you can't separate the writing from the business. The making of a children's book. There's a lot of thought, preparation, and nuance that goes into creating a successful, sellable children's book that engages all types of children and, equally important, connects with parents, teachers, or caring adults who will read it over and over, sometimes at 9 p.m. when they're done reading. This separates the books that publishing houses, book editors, and readers choose for a child's bookshelf versus the ones buried and abandoned in the bottom of a toy trunk, or not brought out at all, or not published. I want to help you write a successful children's book. I want to share what I've learned about writing for children, from where to get ideas and illustrations to how to publish and market, from my 20 plus years as a best-selling book author. Throughout my journey, my personal mission as a writer hasn't wavered to create books that help you share your heart and connect with those you love. This knowing what you want the experience of your books to be can help focus your creating and help you build a clear brand as a writer. So that's very key. She says, know what you want the experience of your books to be. Know what you want the experience of your books to be. Okay, Marian Richmond is a best-selling children's book writer. In this article, she teaches writers how knowing what they want their readers to experience can help them write a successful children's book. Know what you want your readers to experience. That's so true. It brings back to mind like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I find those books to be my favorite, by C.S. Lewis. So I just find that to be key. All right, 3 key factors to consider before you write a children's book. She says, 1, book category, 2, target audience, and 3, supporters. So let's go down and think about supporters. So she says, find supporters and mentors to motivate and encourage you. Some of these might include the Right Practice, which is the website. I have a series on this topic. Take a writing class or join a writers group in a community to learn more about the craft of writing and gain feedback on your ideas. Then seek out one of the many online groups focused on writing, publishing, and marketing. Several popular groups to belong to include children's book authors and illustrators, publishing, marketing, and selling, binders seeking literary agents, children's book authors, illustrators, and self-publishing, and Black children's book authors and illustrators. So these are different places to go. The generous sharing is so helpful and encouraging in what can be a tough industry. Children's book writing is a tough industry. It's very tough. That's just a reality. Join a literary organization that has local chapters or an annual conference. For example, the Society of Children's Book Authors and Illustrators, which is short. The short name for it is SCBWI. A very famous group, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Authors. Book authors and illustrators. Okay, engage with a teacher, librarian, fellow parent, or book professional who can offer insight into the concerns and interests of today's families. So you want to know what's relevant for the families of today. Next, how to write a children's book, the nitty-gritty. Given her long tenure as a children's book author, she has privy to sales numbers and of many titles through the years. So she's going to talk about sales titles. And then she talks about 8 steps to writing a successful children's book. So the 8 steps are: know your story's intention. She says, I find children's books are divided into 2 main types: emotional sharing, I love you, so, the wonderful things you are, all because you matter, and the storytelling, Soul Food Sunday, The Day the Crayons Quit, Giraffes Can't Dance. So there's 2 different types of books, emotional and storytelling. So for children's books. So she says, to help find your story's intention, ask yourself a few questions. What do I want my reader to know at the end of my book? And how do I want my reader to feel at the end of my book? And what do I want my reader to do at the end of my book? And what do I want my reader to understand at the end of my book? And so all of these things helps you get clearer and clearer on your intention. And then she says, number 2 is choose a universal theme or niche message. So what your book idea is about will directly inform who wants to buy it. And one of the go-to lines about her work is, I write for the unique everybody. Our stories are different and our feelings are a lot the same. So a universal theme is that, okay, when you set out to write a book, ask yourself what topic is timely and holds universal appeal. Timely and universal appeal. So timely and universal appeal, such as love, diversity, empathy, anxiety, life skills, grief. Or which theme captures a niche topic like divorce, adoption, immigration, climate, or blended families. So you could be broad or you could be niche, okay? And to help you clarify the universal theme or niche in your picture book or storybook, you want to consider X as told through Y approach. Memoir coach Marion Roach offers an excellent formula that can be applied to books as well. It's about X as told through Y. X as told through Y. X is the universal theme and Y is the story. Using Lisa Katzenberg's picture book, It Will Be Okay, for example, her story is about empathy and kindness as told through a zebra helping his worried giraffe friends. The story structure and character development will follow that specific character helping his friends. Very true. Very true. I think that applies to a lot of things. Every story is the same, but it's just told through a different character. I know this is a little bit besides the point, but I was watching Matrix, the last movie in the franchise, and in the last movie, the one of the guys says that every story, all stories are the same. They're just different characters. And I find that to be very interesting. It is true in some ways. So, okay, next 3, choose a book title and cover image with high sellability. Imagine yourself standing in a bookstore surrounded by thousands of competing titles. Think of your perfect title and cover image as your way of jumping up and down and saying, pick me, pick me. A good book cover design is your clear promise to the reader. In a fraction of a second, you need to tell your potential readers what your book is about and the tone they can expect. Sentimental, funny, for example. Your best title isn't always the most creative title. Clarity is queen. When your animals kiss goodnight, be brave, little one, and hair love. Your choice of book illustration goes a long way to communicate this promise. Your best title isn't always the most creative title. Clarity is queen. So be clear in your title. You don't have to be creative. Just be clear. Because your title will also tell, well, actually, the book illustration will communicate more about what the title is about. So the communication of the book is in the cover, image, illustration, and then in the title. It goes hand in hand. They work together. A silly monster or a dancing elephant conveys humor, while a child tucked into bed hugging a teddy bear communicates a sweet bedtime tale. Similarly, as you are choosing to depict your book characters with people or animals or nothing at all, check out unique bestsellers, the book with no pictures. The use of bright images is key too, to draw your reader in. Each choice you make contributes to your clear promise. Some book titles can be enhanced with a descriptive, powerful subtitle. For example, Dan Santen's picture book, After the Fall, featuring a cute egg, has the subtitle, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. This additional book description quickly tells you it's a story of resilience. A recent title from Sourcebooks is called Our World is Our Family, with children of all nationalities on the cover. Its subtitle is Our Community Can Change the World. Quickly communicates a story of inclusivity, connection, and kindness. It's nice. Yeah, so you see it's about a theme and it's being told through the storytelling. In the book industry, this holistic impact of your book concept is referred to as the book package. Does the package connect with the intended reader? Often traditional publishers will test a few options with virtual focus groups before committing to a final choice. Regardless of how you choose to publish, she suggests that you make a quick exercise you do when pondering your book ideas. Brainstorm a potential title and subtitle for your picture book, referring back to your story intention to focus your thoughts. All right, you can use Canva, freepik.com, Google Images, or even sketch it out yourself. You can gather some inspiration imagery. Now share these few tidbits with a trusted group of friends and ask them what they believe your book is about. Do you hear an answer that circles around your intention? Then you're on the right track. You want to keep a clear message of what track you're on. So next, 4, write your target reader. Write for your target reader. As a picture book author, you are giving a child and a caring adult a pleasant reading experience. But think of your book too as a conduit of connection, learning, and growth. So many parents, teachers, and grown-ups use children's books as gateways to bigger conversations. For example, family values, a recent hardship, or an aspirational behavior. To give your book its best chance at being so much more, you'll want to pay special attention to word choice, cadence, and complexity to ensure it is enjoyable and easy to ingest as possible. Think succinct text, descriptive language, and compelling story. Early childhood educators reiterate too, how using rhyme and repetition of words and ideas helps children develop early literacy skills and boost brain development. As you can see, children's books have a big, important job to do, and a single sentence can be so rich with meaning and teaching in a quality book. In order to write a great children's book, you need to say a lot with few words. Learn how to do this in this article. All right. So number 5 is, she says, create a story arc. I love the concept of the 6-word memoir. Say a lot with few words. That's the heart of a good children's book. The story arc is the journey you take the reader on. You're dealing with short attention spans of children and often the adult reader too. It's time for bed. So this means you need to begin and engage and wrap up in 500 words spread over 32 pages. So you got that, 32 pages, 500 words. That's how long your children's book should be. Don't spend a lot of time setting the stage for the story. Start in the action. If writing a board book where the pages will be cardboard, you reduce page count to 24 pages. A good way to start is to brainstorm a book outline and the main takeaway of your story. Again, your story's intention. What is your story's intention? Next, draw a semicircle on a piece of paper and think upside down. Jot down thoughts on your beginning, middle, and end. If your picture book is the expected 32 pages, aim to use 1 to 2 spreads. A full spread is the left and right page together to begin your story, and another 1 to 2 to bring it to a close. So remember that. You're doing beginning, middle, and end, and if your picture book is expected to be 32 pages, you want to aim to use the spread to tell the story and then bring it to a close. This leaves you a nice middle to tell your story and create a resolve and conflict. And resolve the conflict. Create your book layout or dummy book, even if it's rough. This is a great way to visualize your story. You must visualize it. Use a real-life example from the USA Today bestseller, I Love You Always, a board book to convey love. The first page is this. In case you ever wonder in the busy of our days exactly how you're loved by me, I think you'll be amazed. Spread 2 through 9 tell all the ways, while 2 spreads wrap it up. Top to bottom, inside through, you're the certain of my days. No need to ever wonder more. I love you always. All right, and step number 6, find a professional illustrator. Yes, more decisions. Artwork is a key for children's books, as illustrations from a professional illustrator help you tell your story and boosts the child's comprehension and enhances their literacy. Is your message best supported by people or by animals? The children's book market loves animals for their ability to appeal to diverse families. Believe it or not, some animals sell better than others. Bears are evergreen, says art director Jordan Coast, with brown grizzly being the most popular. You'll want to choose what art style conveys the emotion of your story, whether soft watercolor, bright pastels, contemporary collage, or simple line art. So much art is created digitally, which is easier for revisions, but one thing doesn't change. Good illustrations can make or break a picture book. If you don't illustrate yourself, you will learn that traditional publishers will choose a professional illustrator for your manuscript. If, however, you are self-publishing, you will need to find your own through various resources, such as online groups, local colleges, trade associations, or a talented friend. Be sure, however, that your illustrator is very good. Nothing screams amateur like poor illustrations. As for costs, you'll find some illustrators charge per page, per project, and want a split on the sale revenue. This is all negotiable. Number 7 step, choose a publishing path. As you're writing, you'll need to decide which publishing path you will pursue. There are 2 paths, traditional publishing and self-publishing. Many authors aspire to be published by the big 5, but this is a challenging role for first-time authors, and one that can take several years pitching, editing, printing, and marketing and selling. If you sold your manuscript today, you might see it in stores for 3 years from now. Plus, most large publishers will only look at agent-submitted work, or even then, they want to know your sales potential in the marketplace. In other words, do you have built-in ways you can start getting traction for your book? This is commonly called your platform. Are you already known in any particular industries? Are you aligned with a certain cause? Do you have a large social media following? Are you an educator already connecting with students and families? Are you a psychologist who writes and speaks on social emotional issues? And if your answer is no and no and no, you can still pitch what you will do should a publisher choose to invest in your work. For example, you will speak to local classrooms, host local events and exhibit your work at festivals and farmers markets. If traditional publishing is your dream, however, you'll want to first research finding a literary agent, or perhaps set your sights on a smaller publishing house who accepts unagented manuscripts and is more willing to grow together. Gaining popularity with authors is self-publishing, which allows you to get your book for children into the marketplace sooner. But comes with learning curve of navigating the most popular self-publishing platforms, which are Ingram Sparks and Amazon's KDP, which both offer numerous tutorials to get you on the path of self-publishing. In addition, this path also requires you to hire your own professional editor to ensure you are moving forward with a tight manuscript, as well as a book designer to lay it all out. A developmental editor can speak to your big picture idea and theme versus a copy editor who critiques line by line. So that's another difference. She talks about the developmental editor and the copy editor. The developmental editor speaks to the big picture and the theme, and the copy editor does the line by line word work. Last but not least, the last step is sell, sell, sell. No matter how you publish your book, traditional and self-publish, you will quickly learn that authors need to be marketers as well. I advise aspiring authors to create an expertise around their writing. If possible, something you are known for that will help you focus your selling efforts. Are you the kindness expert? Do you play a musical instrument? Can you connect with an organization that shares a cause or a passion? For me, this is the Epilepsy Foundation. The lady says this is her thing, as she grew up with seizure disorder. I also do workshops at education and literary conferences, giving ideas about art projects around my books. Author Susan Verde teaches yoga and mindfulness to little ones to showcase that her books about peace, love, and kindness. Writer and restaurateur Mary Nin created a super successful self-published Ninja Life Hacks book series, and a school teacher, Shannon Olson, self-publishes books with messages to her students that she couldn't find in the marketplace. These 8 steps summarize much of the thought that goes into crafting a successful children's book. The good news is there is guidance waiting for you in many places, starting right here at therightplace.com, as well as her suggestions in the supporters section above. One final thought is to prepare yourself for the long game. Success is built over time as more people become aware of you and your books. She says her 20+ years in the industry and still a beginner in some ways, in so many ways. The industry marketplace are ever changing. And then she gives some ideas on ways to learn more about children's writing, children's books. She tells you to check out some children's book articles, defining your market, how do you start writing a children's book, to rhyme or not to rhyme, to illustrate a children's book or find one. Is self-publishing or traditional publishing better? Finding a children's book literary agent, how to market a children's book, brand building for children's book authors, how to make money as a children's book author, best advice for aspiring authors writing a book for kids. Writing a children's book isn't easy, but it can be done, right? And then practice. So that was everything in this article by The Right Practice. This was the coach. This was the author. Her name is Marian Richmond. this is Marian Richmond's article, How to Write a Children's Book, the Ultimate Guide to Writing a Successful Book for Young Readers. I think this is a very comprehensive and thorough article, and I think this should give you a great start to how to write your first book for children. It's all there and it answers a lot of questions from platform to intention to your intended audience. It's all there. So you can read this article, go to thewritepractice.com, look for Marian Richmond, her article on how to write a children's book, The Ultimate Guide, and find everything you need. I just read it for you so you could hear it and get a summary of what's going on in the article. And I give all props to her. She does a great job with this article. And I think it's very thorough and answers a lot of questions. Every question you could possibly have is answered in this article. So read it over 2 or 3 times and it will answer every question you have about children's book writing. That's all.